Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jasmine, and if you're new here, I kind of am too, so welcome. We are gonna go ahead and do my September wrap up for the month, and I will say September was a little disappointing, but I feel like I read some pretty good books. I didn't read that many books, but I definitely read some good books. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I do want to give you a little disclaimer, let you know I have my laptop right here, so if you see me looking away or tapping at it or anything like that, I just have some of my notes down because I have an awful memory. So when I'm reading my book, sometimes I go and I jot down like some of the things that I loved about it in my Notion. That's why my laptop's here, so that I can kind of recall a little bit of what I read and things of that sort as we go through this conversation. Okay, so the first book that I read, it was Kingdom of Ash, and this book, you guys, wow, it was so freaking good. This is the last book of the series Throne of Glass, and yes, it is 980 pages.
This baby is thick.
But holy crap, by the time you get to this book in the series, you are so dedicated to the series and the characters that, like, yes, 980 pages is like holy crap, but at the same time you're like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts, I'm reading this. It was worth everything. I am obsessed with Throne of Glass. I'm also obsessed with ACOTAR. I'm not gonna go down that route, but I am obsessed with Throne of Glass. This was amazing. There were so many good books in the series, but this one might have been honestly my favorite. It was so good. So I did rate this one 5 stars. Woo woo. It feels literally like I haven't read this book in months. That's how, like, I miss this series so much. I am so obsessed with the main character, Aelin. I relate to her so much, and the whole Fireheart thing, you guys, has my freaking heart. I even have a fire tattoo on my ankle, which I'll put a picture right here for you guys so you can see it, but I actually found this tattoo on Pinterest like a few years ago, and I wanted it really bad because I just feel like I am a fiery person. I've had a tough time dealing with anger growing up, and it's something that I've really overcome these last few years, and so I just wanted this fire tattoo to kind of like represent my core a little bit. And I feel like that sounds so deep and dark, and honestly it kind of is very deep, but after I read this series, it really pushed me to finally get that tattoo. And the fun fact is I have a full arm sleeve, and my artist actually gave me the fire tattoo on my ankle for free because of how much money I put into my arm sleeve, so shout out to her. But yeah, this series, I'm so obsessed with it. I will 110% reread this series again one day. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This was amazing. Her relationship specifically with Fenris was phenomenal. But like I said, I relate to Aelin so much. She's my favorite main character in the entire world. I am obsessed with her, and this was such a good series. And if you're into fantasy, definitely read this series. There's not like nearly as much romance. There's romance, but not nearly as much as there is fantasy, and there's just a good mix of everything in this series. And I think it's YA, yeah, but so good. It is so good. So if you thought about reading Throne of Glass and you haven't read it yet, freaking read it. And don't come back until you do. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Come back. But read it and let me know what you think, because holy crap, I'm obsessed. So if you like fantasy, I think you would like this. I could sit here and I could go on and on and on and on and on and on about Kingdom of Ash, but I'm not gonna do that to you guys. So we're gonna sadly move on with our life. At least get to Crown of Midnight before you put the series down. If you hate it, sorry. Don't come at me. But okay, the next book that I read. So that book put me in a mother freaking book slump. Dude, I didn't read another book until September. I finished this book on, like, I don't know, September 3rd, 4th, 5th, something like that. I didn't read another book until September 20th, you guys. I was in such a bad book slump because that series just like had a chokehold on me, and it was rough. Okay, so to get me out of my book slump, I did read Fourth Wing. I picked up multiple books, like 3 different books after Kingdom of Ash, and then I ended up putting them all the frick back down because I just couldn't read them. So finally I'm like, well, the only book I can think of that would get me out of this reading slump is Fourth Wing. I've been so excited to read it. I wanted to take time between like fantasy worlds for a second, but my heart and my brain wasn't on the same page, so we read Fourth Wing. I gave this one 4.7 stars. I like it. I love it. I love it. But I will read the next one. Like, you bet your butt I will be getting the next one on, what is it, November 7th? You bet your butt, okay? I will get it. I did knock down my rating a tiny bit from 5 stars because it was so similar to Divergent and it was so disappointing. Like, a majority of the book I was like, this happened in Divergent too. There's lots of aspects in it that aren't in Divergent. It's just so many of the things that happened and some of the characters were very similar. But at the end, it really pulled itself together and became its own book. So I would still recommend it. Like I said, I had tons of fun reading it. It's really good. I will read the next one. The chemistry that this book has, obviously we all know it's about dragons, right? The freaking chemistry between the characters and the dragons is phenomenal. I adored that. I'm not gonna give too many details on this book because I really don't want to like spoil things for you guys if you haven't read it. And if you have read it, I did put all my spoilers at the end of my Fourth Wing reading vlog, so we can talk about it together there. But yeah, this was really good. Would recommend it. It absolutely did pull me out of my book slump, so thank you, Fourth Wing. I appreciate you. And thank you, Rebecca Yaros, because I appreciate you. One of my favorite reads this year. There is a lot of death in the book, and honestly, I enjoyed that too because it broke my heart a little bit, and we love a little heartbreak. So I like to be miserable. It's fine. I'm just kidding, but there was a lot of world building, but it wasn't hard to get on board. But once you really get into the book, you'll catch on. I did a 24-hour reading vlog to kind of catch up on some reads since I was so far behind. So right after I finished Fourth Wing, I picked up Love Theoretically. This one was very sweet. The character in this one, her name is Elsa. She works for this company called Fox. It's like a dating app. It kind of like reminded me of Tinder, except it's for fake dating. So she works for this company and people choose her as their fake girlfriend, and she goes on typically one date. But she has this one client, his name is Greg, who she agreed to go on multiple dates for and like meet his family and things of that sort. But he does have a brother named Jack. And Jack was very sus of Elsie when they were fake dating, and rightfully so because she wasn't actually his girlfriend. So, but he caught on to it a little bit, kind of, sort of. Also, look how freaking ugly this is. I tried to take my sticker off. So sad. In this whole situation that she didn't expect, and it really messed with her professional life and her personal life, and a lot of things went down. There's definitely like a big love story and a big professional story in this. I really enjoyed it. It was very easy to read. I will 100% read another Ali Hazelwood book. And this was my first one, and I hear they're all the same. I don't care. This was good. I enjoyed it. It was so lighthearted. I had fun. So I will 100% read another one of her books. I don't know if I said my rating, but I did rate it 4 stars. So this one is super good. But yeah, that is my rating for Love Theoretically. Next, I read Perfect Marriage. This was interesting. So basically it is about this husband and wife, Adam and Sarah. They'd been together for like 10 years, I think, or something like that, and she was a lawyer and he was a writer, and her job was very successful and his wasn't nearly as successful, and he was feeling very neglected by her. But the weird thing is they had a really good relationship outside of him feeling neglected. At least that's the vibe that I got. Like, their downtime in bed was super good. It was very graphic in the beginning, and they just seemed to have a good chemistry relationship, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, he talks a lot about how he loved her and stuff like that, and I know she loved him too, and she just also loved her career, and they didn't have any kids or anything like that, okay? So he was cheating on her. That's what the whole book is about. He had a mistress. She ends up dying. Actually, she ends up being murdered specifically. His wife was a lawyer, so she ended up being his lawyer through the situation, which is very interesting to me because I didn't think you could do that. He's being accused of murder. She's trying to get him out of it, and the whole book goes through all of like the evidence. There's always something new, and the chapters were pretty short. It was an okay book. The ending was very dark. You basically find out who it was on like this last chapter or last page or something like that. It was okay. I gave it 3 stars. Not awful, but not my favorite. I ended up guessing who it was anyway, but still, like, the confirmation at the end of who it was and like the darkness of it, it was kind of crazy. But 3 stars on The Perfect Marriage. I mostly listened to this on audiobook yeah, no, I pretty much listened to all of it on audiobook and just followed along, so I was able to get through it very easily. But yes, so I have 2 more books to talk about. I read, it's called Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss. I forget his name. I left the book in my boyfriend's car, so I don't have it here to show you. It comes from this psychiatrist's perspective, mostly believed in facts and nothing else. He was a very factual kind of doctor. He took over. His idea was to dive into her childhood. They actually ended up starting to do hypnotic sessions, and during those hypnotic sessions, he actually figured out that it's deeper than her childhood. It is actually coming from her past lives, things that he didn't quite 100% believe in. They met every single week, and I want to say she had like 89 different past lives or something like that, and a lot of her night terrors and her anxiety and her mental health struggles were coming from past lives. She was abused by her dad in some of her past lives and in her current life, and just so many different things. She died like some very, what's the word, very intense deaths. I can't remember the word that I'm trying to think of, but those played a role in a lot of her fears as well. And so like the book is all about him diving into like her past lives and moving forward. But then in these moments when she was unconscious, there were the masters, and the masters would talk to him through her, and they were giving him life advice and talking to him and telling him he's on his path and sending messages to him through her. And they just did that a lot during these hypnotic sessions. So this whole thing was like a learning experience for him entirely, moving away from like facts and things of that sort, and like opening his mind up to what else there possibly could be. And so he just kind of talks about his experience and her experience, and it was very interesting. But I did give it 3 stars because I struggled reading it. It took me actually a really long time to read this book. I didn't start it in September, I just finished it in September. I started it a few months ago, put it down, picked it back up. So it was interesting if you are kind of like getting into like the spiritual journey type thing. It was interesting to kind of like see different perspectives and like what her and his experiences were, and it was interesting that he was able to talk about it a little bit. But yeah, it was an interesting book. It's just not something that I didn't have a ton of fun reading it like I do some of my other books. So 3 stars for Many Lives, Many Masters. And my last book that I have to talk about today is Love in the Time of Serial Killers. I DNF'd this book, okay? And I just want you guys to understand, I like commitments, okay? I'm a committed kind of person. When I commit to something, to not follow through with it, it hurts my heart and it bothers me and it makes me feel unaccomplished. And yeah, I follow through with commitments and I don't like not doing that. And when I DNF a book, I feel very disappointed in myself and like I didn't follow through a commitment, and I get really guilty and I feel guilty and I have guilty consciences, and it makes me feel ick, okay? But I had to DNF this book. I got to page 157. That is about halfway through the book, and I couldn't freaking do it anymore. It was so boring. I am so sorry to anybody who loves this book, but I couldn't. It's about this writer who, she writes a lot of like true crime, and her dad passed away, and her brother lived in 2 separate households growing up, but they met up at her dad's house to take care of it. She moved states to come get the house ready to be sold and just kind of get rid of all his stuff, and the neighbor she suspects is a serial killer. She was just very like, everything he did, she's like, he is a serial killer, everything. And I was like, okay girl. But that's what we spent the most, like the whole 150 pages, I swear it was just all about him doing something and her thinking he's a serial killer, and him doing something and her thinking he's a serial killer, and then her being annoyed with her brother and his girlfriend, and I just was not enjoying it. So I DNF'd it, sadly. I think this is the first book like I've ever just officially DNF'd. Maybe one day I'll pick it back up again, but for now it's going back on the bookshelf. I just couldn't do it. That is my September wrap up, you guys. I am not gonna do an October TBR because I will give you ideas of what I want to read. I'll let you know. I have a whole list of books that I want to read, but I am gonna do a book haul, and I'm gonna go shopping in the next like week or so, and I'm gonna buy a bunch of like books that I want to read this October. So I'll give you an idea, but this is not my official October TBR. Okay, so I don't have any of these books yet. Like I said, I want to do a book haul and go shopping, so bear with me. But books that I want to read, I do want to get the Ex-Hex. I honestly don't know too much about it. I just know it's kind of spooky and good for October. I don't know, I've seen it everywhere and everybody keeps recommending it, but I don't know anything about it. I just know I want to read it. Next, I would like to read Haunting Adeline. Haunting Adeline? Yeah, that one's probably gonna happen. Like, that one's gonna happen. I'm gonna read that for sure. I do want to read Powerless. I don't know a lot about these books, okay? I just know that I want to read them. I haven't read the back of them, nothing. That's why I said I don't have an official October TBR. I'm just giving you my ideas. But I do want to read Powerless. I don't even know the authors to these books yet either. So, but I want to read Powerless because I've heard good things and seen that all over social media. I want to read Divine Rivals because I've heard good things and seen that all over social media. I want to read Twisted Love, but I don't want to read that till like later in the month, maybe even November, but I want to get that book so I can read it. I do want to read The 7-Year Slip, but I don't think it's going to be an October book. And The Naturals. I ordered that book off Amazon already. It'll be here Wednesday. Today's Monday, it'll be here Wednesday. I'm excited about that one. That one is, I'm probably gonna start as soon as I get it. Yeah, and then I'm currently reading Ugly Love, and I should be done with that very soon. So that is like my October TBR ideas, but not my official October TBR. I will make a book haul video and stuff like that and kind of show you, but that is my October suspected TBRs. All right, guys. That's it. That is my September wrap up, my sus October TBR, possibly October TBR. If you guys stayed for the whole video or you even clicked on this video, I really appreciate you guys for watching, so thank you very much. Please subscribe to my channel if you're new here, because I am also new here, and if you want to see more content like this, let me know. I am super excited to have you a part of my journey. Again, thank you so much. I hope that I will see you guys next time. Bye!